are now listening to the War Rapport Podcast Network.
The Tigers are out in Vegas and they get the win versus Oregon. Next up, can they handle the Wolverines?
The Auburn Express. You are now listening to the War Rapport Longtown Podcast with your boy Ike Jones.
Welcome on into Lobtown right here as part of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Rapport. I am your boy Ike Jones out here live in Las Vegas, reporting to you, talking a little bit about Auburn basketball. Last night got the win versus Oregon. Mike G had a reaction for you guys last night. So instant reactions over there, coming over here, just kind of giving a little bit more perspective from on the ground, so to speak. Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful day. Glad to be in here talking with you all, talking a little basketball on a Tuesday, again, out here in Las Vegas as Auburn is set to take on Michigan today. Let's take a look back at the game from last night. Auburn won 84-73, able to pull away late due to some great defensive stops down the stretch and some clutch free throw shooting, something that Auburn fans had been upset from the Houston game. Didn't see too much clutch free throws happening during that game, but you were able to close out this one versus Oregon with some clutch free throw shooting. And again, timely stops. The end of game defense for this Auburn team has been pretty good in these tough matchups. Speaking of Houston, really, if you go all the way back to how they kind of closed the game, particularly in the overtime versus Bethune-Cookman when they had backs against the wall, the defense was really what clamped down in that overtime win. And you go into that Houston game, giving you an opportunity when you're behind late to be able to close out and get to a potential situation where you could get a game-winning basket there. The defense is really what spurred that on. And then once again, versus Oregon in this game, late game, last few minutes of the game, a lot of clutch steals, just clamping down on Oregon, able to put them in the hurt box. And you really love to see a team as committed to the physicality and defense as this Auburn team is when they're undersized against a team in Oregon who they're giving up quite a bit of size to. They were still able to go out there and battle, even though on the boards that doesn't show, but you do see that in other ways. And that's one of the things I talked about. I think I mentioned somebody tweeted at me and was talking about this team's got to learn how to box out. They absolutely do. Don't want to discount that. But if you're going to be an undersized team, you need to be able to clamp down and make sure teams aren't even getting quality shots at the basket, which means that you're going to be forcing turnovers from them, whether that be steals or ball out of bounds or shot clock violations. Those things of that nature are ways in which you can earn possessions if you're not going to dominate on the glass in the way, or at least make it even on the glass. When you're undersized, you have to be able to use your quickness to disrupt and make sure that people aren't getting quality looks. And they did a really good job of that last night. Totally in that game, forced 18 turnovers for Oregon, only having 6 turnovers themselves throughout the game. That is phenomenal, taking care of the basketball and going out and frustrating the opponent. The one thing that I guess you would look at from this game and you say to yourself, breath of fresh air, you're starting to see Tahad Pettiford come into form. I just think Tahaad is a gamer, man. When the stakes begin to raise, I think it just kind of gets his juices flowing and he's ready to go out there and do what he needs to do. Last night, he was the leading scorer for the Tigers with 24 points. And then you saw Kashawn Hall be able to get back in off of the injury. Still a little limited at the end of the game. There was a play where he's driving down with the left and he tries to stop and kind of gets pulled down a little bit. But you saw him get up, kind of reaching for that ankle a little bit. So I do wonder, after a full game, sort of like how it was with Murphy earlier in the season, after a full game of playing on it, running around more than you have been during your rehab portion, how well is it going to bounce back today? I think that's going to be an interesting thing, because you absolutely will need a guy like that in a game in which the size difference is going to be noticeable from 1 through 5 for that Michigan team this afternoon. So looking forward to seeing how Auburn is able to bounce back and really get into a groove this evening when they play that game. A few more notes from the Oregon game. Again, you had Tahad Pettiford leading scorer, Hall with the second leading scorer with 18. not as an efficient day as he's been. 5 of 14 for him. Tahaad was 9 of 18. Still only 1 from 5 for 3. So the 3-point baskets are not falling for Auburn. In fact, as a team, they were only 5 of 23. I think this is a team that needs to make 7 or 8 threes per game. Again, you're a smaller team. You should be able to get to your quickness and really run. And they were getting some good looks. They just weren't knocking them down. If the 3-point baskets can fall for this team, then they will be a very difficult team to beat because they have the quickness to go against a lot of what teams want to do and zone them up. If they're going to play man, right, they can get downhill really quickly and really easily. The mid-range game, love what I'm seeing from this team from the mid-range, but they've got to be able to knock those down from distance to make teams not feel as if, okay, we can just sag into the paint and make you guys drive into the teeth of this defense when we have the height advantage. So definitely need to be able to do that a little bit better. Again, Tahaad was 1 of 5. Hall was only 2 of 7 from 3. The only other 3-pointers, Murphy made 1 of 2. Freeman made 1 of 2. Overton was 0 of 4 in this game. Hopefully the next game will be a bounce back for him. He had some wide open looks that he wasn't able to convert in this one. Looking forward to seeing him have a bounce back game in that. Loved what I saw from the limited minutes when Pettiford got into foul trouble. He did eventually foul out of this game. A couple of those fouls, a little tic-tac foul. I don't know what y'all was looking at there, refs, but whatever. But I love the minutes that you were able to get. Only 7 minutes in the game, but Caden Magwood played some good minutes. He had one really bad turnover in that time, but he did bounce back. He was able to get downhill and score a little bit. Only had 4 points, but I liked when he was attacking the rim. I liked him, getting kind of a rhythm dribble and getting to the mid-range shot a little bit instead of trying to get all the way to the basket. If he can be some instant offense, I've said this before, if Magwood could come in and be instant offense for this team, then he has a really good spot on here. Of course, he needs to be able to defend, but on the offensive end, if he's able to put the pressure on the defense and make them feel him in terms of him going out there and putting up points, he's going to be immensely more an asset to this team if he can go out there and do that. And I think his ability to attack downhill and finish amongst the trees is something that he's going to be able to do. He finishes through contact fairly well. Didn't shoot the 3-ball particularly well yet this season, but I know he's got that in him as well. He shoots a lot more of that off the dribble than he does off of the pass. But again, as he starts to get his confidence in his offensive game, I'm looking forward to seeing that young man come out there and play effectively. For this Auburn team, in addition, I talked about the height disparity. The total rebounds, though, in this game, they lost that battle by 12, 46-34. And that's something that they're really going to need to look at. And I'm sure Coach Stephen Pearl is going to be stressing all day today as they get ready to do this, to battle with Michigan, is how can we be more effective in our ways of disrupting what they want to do at the glass? And really kind of, again, I think they're going to need to force some turnovers in this game versus Michigan in order to be successful. But again, good game from Auburn to be able to close out. Oregon was one of their last 8 buckets in that game. Auburn closed out with 4 of 5 in their last 5. And then again, they went to the free throw line and were able to get some clutch free throws down the stretch. The leading scorer out there for this Oregon team was Biddle. And he had like 2 points in the second half of this game. Let me make sure I'm not lying on the young man, but he actually was scoreless in the second half, did not have a single point in the second half of the game. Auburn was able to shut him down. And you're talking about a guy who is a legit 7-footer. They were able to front him in the post quite effectively and then make sure that they couldn't just throw the lob over the top. They were being very physical with him early at the catch point. He stepped out and shot a 3 earlier in that game. It's not really his game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Auburn continues to play defense effectively versus teams that have bigs like that. You're going to run into another legit 7-footer again versus Michigan. How are they going to be able to do that? I think Michigan has some tape on what Auburn wants to do defensively versus the taller matchup. And, will Dusty May and company have a remedy for what Auburn has been doing defensively in those matchups thus far this season? That's what we're going to be taking a look at. And hopefully Auburn is going to be able to go out there and execute the way that they need to bring the victory back and get into this Players Air Championship situation coming up. So definitely be looking forward to that. All right, let's shift gears here and talk about the upcoming game, and that is the one versus the Michigan Wolverines, a matchup from the tournament last season. Completely different teams, though. Neither of these teams look anything like the team that saw one another in the tournament last year, but let's talk about that. But before we do, got to give a quick word from our sponsor today, And that is the Tax Express. It's tax time again, and the Tax Express is here to make it easy. Since 2004, they've helped thousands of clients stay on track with personalized, efficient tax preparation designed to maximize your return. Whether you prefer in-person service or virtual convenience, they've got you covered. Book online, upload your documents securely, and relax while they handle the rest. Located at 4144 Carmichael Road, Suite 1 in Montgomery, Alabama, an IRS authorized e-file company, convenient, reliable, trusted. Book now and relax later. Call 334-578-0264 or visit thetaxexpressmtg.com. You can scan the QR code right there on the screen to schedule your appointment, upload the documents, or get directions. The Tax Express, keeping you on track since 2004. The Tax Express, keeping you on track since 2004. All aboard the Tax Express. We are keeping you all aboard of all the wonderful things happening with Auburn basketball, and we will start that talking a little bit about what's coming up. And that's Auburn versus Michigan. This Michigan team has yet to lose a game this season. They are out there doing damage. As you can see, they are putting up 90-plus points per game this season. So is Auburn. Both of these teams are scoring the ball effectively. Both of these teams are getting stops, too. Michigan's only giving up 68 points per game. Auburn just north of that at 70. Michigan shooting the ball really well at 50%. Auburn just below that at 49%. The rebound disparity, not as large as one might think with all of the size difference there, but Michigan averaging 46.2 to Auburn's 41.3. And then you see the free throw percentages in that. I think the shooting percentages are the things that are going to be important in this game. Who's going to be able to stop the other team from being effective from the field? Michigan shooting a staggering 50% from the field so far this season. Auburn down just below that at 49.4. Free throw percentage, Auburn at 72, while Michigan is just above that at 73.7. The three-point percentage in favor of Michigan as well. They are shooting 32.8%, while Auburn has actually gotten a little bit better from the three-point line these last few games and raised their season average to 30.5 on the season. So when you're looking at these two teams, you're looking at a matchup of, again, teams that both went to the tournament last year. They faced one another in the tournament, but as I stated before, neither of these teams look anything like the team that was in the tournament last year. Let me not say anything like. Michigan was a tall team last year. They had the Twin Towers in there with the 2 7-footers. They are going to be returning a really tall matchup again this season. When I take a look at this Michigan roster, let me make sure I got that up over here. You see a team that is averaging like 6'3" or something like that. They've got 2 guys over 7 feet right now on that team. Yaxel Lindberg is a guy who Lindeberg was a guy who Auburn was going after in the transfer portal, transfer over from UAB. That's really the big thing. The transfer portal is where Michigan revamped this team completely. You've got, Yaxel that's there on that team. Who's the other guy that I wanted to highlight on here? Elliot Cadeau, who came over from North Carolina, the point guard, is now there on that team. So you've got a team that they've been able to go and cobble together from the transfer portal, and they've got some behemoths out here, right? Like they got guys who definitely have a lot of size. Mara, one of the 7-footers there, averaging 9.8 rebounds per game. He goes 7'3". They have let's see. The other 7-footer there for this team is Cordell. Cordell is out here. He's not playing as many minutes per game for this team, but he's still another 7-footer that they can throw out there if they need to. This is a team that's actually doing kind of similar to what Auburn was last year and playing a larger distribution or distributing minutes across more people, right? They have, Lindbergh, who is their leading scorer at 15 points per game, only averaging 27.6 minutes per game. They've got 6 guys. So they're going pretty much a starting 6 here that are averaging 20 plus minutes per game here. 22 is the low man there. And then they've got 3 more that are in 15 plus minutes per game. So they're going to legit 7-8 deep on their bench. And this is going to be one of those things where I think this is going to be a difficult game for Auburn because of the amount of bodies that they can throw at them and the size that they can throw at them consistently, keeping those guys fresh. This is teams that are built with 7, 8, 9 guys that they can play are built for tournaments like this, where you got to go play back-to-back games and you can throw different, more fresh bodies that haven't played a lot of minutes in the previous night. That's what these teams are built to be able to do. And so it's going to be a tough task for Auburn to be able to get the win in this one. But again, I say, this Auburn team has got to, try to be physical, right? They had a really physical matchup against Oregon. Michigan really kind of had their way in their matchup versus San Diego State. So they didn't really have to exert as much energy to get across the finish line. It's going to me, for Auburn, come down to the guard play. Can the guards for Auburn stop Michigan from being able to get into their stuff, right? Can they go get out there and really bottle up what they want to do out top so that they don't have that advantage down low? And can they score consistently and really kind of get some of these Michigan guys in foul trouble to make sure? Because when you're talking about, I talked about all the size that they have, but when you're looking at guards, they have, they've got a few guards, but like they're not scoring guards. The assists, let me take a look at that for them. Make sure I have that correct. Elliot Cadeau is averaging 4.8 assists per game. But then you've got Lindenberg, who is 3.2, right? He's not a guard. Their center 2.2. So they're running a lot of their stuff through their bigs. If you can find a way to get those guards in foul trouble, get them frustrated, turn the ball over, and you can bottle up what Michigan wants to do. And then they move the ball really effectively. So I'm not saying that this is an easy proposition, but that's the route I think you have to go. Can the Auburn guards, particularly Tahad Pettiford, going up against his buddy Elliot Cadeau again, can he control this matchup? Can you get the defensive matchups that you want to out front with Kevin Overton? Is he going to be a guy who can play defensively and really bottle up what they want to do? We love the late minutes from Kevin Overton in this last game where he was able to come in, play a little point guard late for Auburn when Tahaad Pettiford fouled out the game to just kind of stabilize the offense and give you another ball handler that can go out there. That's something I talked about in the preseason that we might see as him as a secondary ball handler if necessary. So can he come out here again and really just be that defensive menace out front and bottle up what they want to do to get into their action, force some turnovers, force some frustration from those Michigan guards? Going to be looking forward to that. And then you're going to have to get some quality minutes off the bench again from your backup guards. And I think that's a real place where Auburn's going to have to figure out is who are the guards that they can trust to be able to come in, take care of the basketball, and frustrate defensively. Can Caden Magwood give you another? I really want to see him get maybe 10, 11 minutes in this game to be able to get out there and play effectively and be a pest for the Michigan guards in this game. That's something that I'm looking forward to seeing from Auburn in this one. And hopefully that will be the case for this one. The ESPN matchup predictor, as you might have seen on the graphic before, but if you're listening, predicts 53.1% chance Michigan comes away with the victory in this game. We'll see what actually happens, though. They got to play the game. We are here in Vegas, so I don't see. Let me see if there's an odds prediction on this one. I don't see it here on my ESPN app, but I'm sure that there are odds out there for this one already. But make sure you guys are tuned into this one. Game tips off at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. This one's going to be on TNT tonight. So if you want to tune in there, I'm not sure if the guys are going to be doing any sort of watch party, but your boy Ike Jones will be live right there on the sideline. Make sure you follow me and get all the tweets that I'm going to be putting out for that information. But we'll look forward to this game tonight. Looking forward to another Auburn dub, and we'll see what we can do to get into this Players Era Tournament Championship game. I think Auburn right now is like in third or fourth place, something like that, as far as because how Players Era works. It's going to be margin of victory, not just wins. So wins plus margin of victory determines what the seeding is for that final game. So we will see what happens after tonight's game with Auburn in that one. Before we get out of here, I do want to pivot and talk a little bit of women's basketball. The Auburn women were in action yesterday as well. They were able to get their victory versus UTSA, and undefeated Auburn women's basketball so far this season. They are still out here doing what they need to do. They got that win yesterday, 59-42. Shot a really Well, I won't say really good, but they shot a good percentage, 40% from the field in that game. Where they really dominated was on the boards, 37-33 there on the boards versus UTSA. A good game from Maya Pettiford again. I'm loving what I'm seeing from a couple of people on this team, right? Maya Pettiford is one. She has shot the ball effectively, and she's been a really good, just kind of scorer from all three levels, a solid 3-level scorer that this team absolutely needed. She needs 14 points on 6 of 11 shooting, only 1 of 4 from 3, but she is a really good 3-point shooter so far this season for them in her 29 minutes of action. I liked what I saw yesterday from Ariel Jackson there. Ariel Jackson able to pour in another 10 points on 5 of 7 shooting early. She was the difference maker for this team. Tahad Pettiford, for really the second game in a row, is able to be the closer. She was able to do that versus her former team in Rutgers in the last game. She was able to do it again for this team last night versus UTSA, or yesterday. Well, last night, I think like a 4:00 game, something like that. But got that win versus UTSA, and she was able to be the closer in both of those situations. The other young lady that's been balling for this team is Harsoon Coulibaly. She didn't have a big game from a point standpoint. Only had 6 points in this game on 3 of 8 shooting. But where she has been super effective is her ability out front, really handling the basketball as a primary ball handler sometimes for this team, and being effective on the defensive end, just being harassing and stopping teams from being able to get into their action. Love what she's been bringing. Jamia Harris, was the other young lady who I really liked her game. She's been struggling the last couple of them to find the rhythm, but I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to do. The Auburn women have another game coming up this Wednesday. I believe they're playing Cal in that game. So tomorrow they'll be back in action. Hopefully they are ready to make that game something for Auburn fans to be proud of. But right now, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Coach LV and the women's basketball team. They are being what he advertises himself as, or what he's been throughout his career as a coach, a menace defensively out there. Overall in this game, when we take a look at the turnovers, they were able to force 23 turnovers from this UTSA team. Now, the problem is they're turning the ball over themselves too much. And I think that that's going to be the biggest thing is, can they find, particularly, when you look at who, let me just kind of take a look at the turnovers specifically in this one. You had Caitlin Duhan with 3, Hadi Lay with 3, Jackson had 3, Beloso had 3, Coulibaly had 3, Harris had 2, and Pettiford had 2. On the opposite side of that, though, when you look at the assists, they're not doing a great job with the assist. Only like 10 assists and 20. How many turnovers did I say they had? And 23 turnovers, it's not going to get it done. 10 assists, 23 turnovers. That ratio is just not where it needs to be. So you forced 30 turnovers, which is great, but you gave it back to them 23 times. You've got to be way more effective in your ability to take care of the basketball. And that's going to be the thing I think that's going to hurt them when they get into the play versus some of these more talented teams is, can they take care of the basketball and not give it back to the other team at the rate in which they're taking it away, right? Like you can't take it away at a high rate and then give it right back at a high rate. But 23 turnovers is absolutely too many turnovers to have. A lot of folks with multiple turnovers. I didn't mention her earlier, but I like Sanaya Richardson is coming along as a freshman point guard for this team. She's giving them some valuable minutes. She played only 7 minutes in this last game, but she was a +2 in those 7 minutes. She's been really effective in her ability to understand her defensive assignments. I like the way she fights over ball screens, handling the ball pretty effectively. She did have 2 turnovers herself in this game. That's a little bit more of her just kind of being loose with the basketball with passes, but again, like where this team is, of course, they haven't lost a game so far this season, so you got to love that. But they do have some things that they need to clean up on their end on the offense. And once they are able to do that, and I think shoot the ball a little bit more effectively, they're going to be good. I do worry about the post play from them right now. Going to be honest. I don't see anybody, Hadi Lay has been probably the most consistent, but she's still kind of careless with the basketball sometimes, missing some layups. In this game, they were 14 of 25 on layups. So they, missing 11 layups is just something that you can't do in a situation where you really do have a height advantage. When they start going up against these tougher teams in the SEC, they're not going to have the height advantage. They need to be more efficient, particularly in the paint, to be able to be effective versus those teams. Or you're going to have to be a much better 3-point shooting team, right? You can't be bad from 2 and 3. So they have to be able to pick which one of these things is going to be a struggle for them offensively. Hopefully they'll continue to get that together and find those guards who have the ability to knock those down, and they can be a little bit more consistent with the 3-point shot. But I love the effort and the energy that they're bringing on the defensive end, and that's going to get you in a situation where you can be in most games that you're playing. I've always said this: if your defense can travel, then you've got an opportunity against whomever it may be. You just need to be able to lock up for the full 40. So hopefully they'll be able to get that, and looking forward to seeing what they do this Wednesday versus Cal. That's it, man. I'm out of here. If you guys have enjoyed this, make sure that you hit the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you share the content with somebody if you're listening over on podcast. Make sure you give us that 5-star review, and make sure that you follow us, and make sure you have those automatic downloads set up over there as well. I'm out of here, y'all. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle. Peace.